everyone, I'm Jacy from Craft Life, and I'm here today to teach you how to knit an infinity scarf. And the supplies you'll need to make this are 2 balls of yarn, and today I'm using a gray, and the size I'm using is super bulky 6. You will also need a rainbow loom or a knitting loom, and today I'm going to be using a rainbow loom, but if you have a knitting loom, you can use the same exact steps that I'm going to show you, but just do it on your knitting loom instead. You will also need a rainbow loom hook, a crochet hook, or even a knitting hook. You will need scissors, and finally, you will need a ruler. So please get your supplies and we'll begin. To begin, we need to set up our rainbow loom. So we're going to start by taking out our middle row. Then you're going to take this row right here and you're going to turn it around so that all of its pegs face towards the left. Then you want to flip it over and you're going to remove your big blue base piece. And then finally, I'm going to move this piece over all the way to the end, and then you can push it down. So this is what your loom should look like once it is set up. Now we're going to begin making our slip knot. So you're going to pinch your yarn at about 8 inches. Then you're going to place it on your finger and wrap it around once. Then you're going to pinch it again so that we've created a loop. Then we're going to take the rest of our yarn and we're going to place it inside of our loop to create a slip knot. Now we're going to take that slip knot and we're going to put it on our first peg and pull it tight but not too tight. Just like that. You may want to pull out some of your yarn, and also this is the part where you determine how wide you want your scarf to be. I'm going to be using 7 pegs for mine, but you can use as many pegs as you want. And now we're going to begin. So you're going to start by taking your yarn behind the peg in front of this one. Then you're going to wrap it around. Now we're going to go in front of the peg here, wrap it around, behind, wrap it around, in front, wrap it around. And you're just going to continue this all the way until you get to your last peg that you want to be for your width. I'm going to stop on my 7th peg. So wrap it around on all of your pegs. Now I'm on my 7th peg. I'm just going to do what I've been doing. So wrap it around and wrap it around. But this time I'm going to need to make a second row. So I'm just going to take my yarn like this, go straight across, wrap it around, and follow the same path but do it backwards. Now on your last peg, you're just going to wrap it back around and hold it. And now when you look at your yarn, it should all line up. And I also want to warn you that you want to make sure that you're not wrapping your yarn too tight around your pegs. And now you're going to take your hook and bring your bottom loop over the top, bring it over the top, and continue this on all of your pegs. I just want to show you that these 2 pegs are going to alternate. One time this one's going to have 1 loop on it and this one's going to have 2, and then they're going to switch and they're going to keep switching every row. And since I just finished on this one, I did 2 loops, it's only going to be left alone this time, and then this one's going to have 2 loops. And since we just finished our first row, we're going to move on to our second one, and we're going to continue what we've been doing. So we're going to go behind our peg, wrap it around, in front of our peg, wrap it around, behind, in front, and just continue this all the way down. And once again on this one, it is going to have 2 loops, so I'm going to wrap it around and just hold it. And then you're going to bring your bottom loop over the top on that peg, and you can let go of your yarn. And now on all of your pegs, you're going to bring your bottom loop over the top. Now you just want to push all of your loops down. We have our slip knot strand here, and I'm just going to use my fingers to push it inside. Just like that. Now we're going to do another row, and so what you want to do is this time, this one is not going to get wrapped, so I'm just going to leave it alone and then follow my path backwards. So now I'm going to go behind the peg, wrap it around, in front of the peg, wrap it around, and continue this. And now I'm going to wrap around this peg again. So as you can see here, this one wasn't wrapped and this one was. And now I'm going to take my hook and bring my bottom loops over the top on all of my pegs. Now you want to make sure that they are all pushed down, and when you go to do another row, you will see that this time this peg will not get wrapped a second time, but this one will, just because they're going to alternate. And for the rest of your rows, they are going to be alternating. I'm going to make my scarf about 56 inches, or about the same size as my other scarf in my other scarf tutorial. But you can make yours as long as you want, as long as it wraps around your neck loosely 2 times. So please continue alternating between these 2 pegs and also going back and forth on your pegs and then going backwards this way and pushing them down as you go. So please do this for as many rows as you want, and I'll be right back. I just finished off my first ball of yarn, and now I'm going to show you how to attach your second ball of yarn. So what you want to do is have your remaining yarn out and your new yarn out, and you're just going to tie a knot between them. And then you're going to pull it very tight, and it doesn't matter where the knot ends up on your remaining yarn here. It will be hidden by the rest of your rows. And now I'm going to do my next one, and this will be my last one. So now I have 3 knots, and make sure they are all pulled tight. And now you can take your scissors and carefully cut off your remaining strands. Now I'm finished with that. So what you want to do is continue making your scarf. You're going to go back and forth between your pegs, and you want to make yours to the length that you want it to be, but just remember that it needs to wrap around your neck loosely 2 times. And so I'm going to continue mine, and I'll be right back. I just finished making my scarf, and it is 56 inches, but you can make yours to whatever length you want it to be. But just make sure it wraps around your neck 2 times. And now I'm ready to finish mine off. And so to begin, we're going to bring this row here all the way over to this row, so for each peg. And so to do this, I'm just going to take my hook, grab that loop, and bring it to the peg behind it. And I'm just going to pull on mine because I have my yarn right here. Then I'm going to bring my bottom loop over the top. And now I'm going to do the same thing for this one. Grab my loop, bring it to the peg behind it. Then you're going to bring your bottom loop over the top and push it down. And just continue bringing this loop here over to the loop behind it, and then bring the bottom loop over the top. And do it for the remaining pegs. Now you want to make sure that they are all pushed down, and it is very important for you to make sure that you ended your scarf on this side of your loom, so your yarn is on this side here. So you're doing exactly what I'm doing. And now I'm just going to take my other end, and make sure when you bring it back up through your loom, it is not creased or twisted. So I'm just going to bring it back up, so it will make one full circle without any twists or creases. And now I'm just going to bring it all the way up. And the reason you want your yarn to be on this side is because we're going to sew it up, and then we have our yarn on this side from our other end, and then we're going to tie them together. So what you want to start by doing is you're going to separate your loops, your first loops on your other end. I have mine all separated, just like that. And each peg is going to get 2 loops, except for your first one here. And you're just going to start by taking your first 2 loops, place them down on your loom, and then I'm just going to pull just a little bit so it will stay on my loom and it will not keep popping off. Then I'm just going to take the 2 loops next to it, place them on, and just pull a little bit. Take my next 2, and you can probably see each of them. My next 2 are here. My next 2 are here. And at the end, it kind of gets confusing, but I find my 2 loops here at this end. And then finally, I'm going to take that slip knot loop and I'm going to put it on my peg. So I just brought my first row that I ever did on this scarf back up to my last row. And now I'm just going to take my bottom loop over the 2 loops in front of it on all of my pegs, and make sure you are grabbing your bottom loop. And finally, for the last step of our infinity scarf, we're just going to take our yarn that is still attached to our ball of yarn, and you're going to start by E-wrapping. So I'm going to take my yarn, I'm going to E-wrap on this peg and this peg, so my first 2, and I'm going to hold it. Then I'm going to take my bottom 2 loops over the top on these 2 pegs. So now I'm just working with these 2, and I'm going to take the loop that is on this peg, and I'm going to bring it back to the peg behind it. Then I'm going to bring my bottom loop over the top, like that, and I'm going to bring that loop back to its peg. So now again, all you want to do is take your yarn. We're going to E-wrap onto our next peg, which is this one. Bring your bottom 2 loops over the top. Then I'm going to take that loop, bring it to the peg behind it, bring the bottom loop over the top, and bring this loop back to its peg. I'm going to do one more with you, and then you're just going to continue this all the way down. So once again, we're going to take our yarn, wrap it around our next peg, bring our bottom 2 loops over the top, push it down. Then I'm going to take that loop, bring it to the peg behind it, And then I'm going to bring my bottom loop over the top and finally bring it to the peg it was originally on. So just continue this for your last 3 pegs and just do the same thing. Now finally, on my last peg, I'm going to take my scissors and I'm just going to cut my yarn at about 6 inches. Then I'm just going to place my hook in through my last loop. I'm going to take my yarn, pull it up through, and then just pop it off your loom. Now you can just take this away from your loom, and as you can see, it is brought together or sewed together here. And finally, what we're going to do is tie our last 2 strands of yarn in a knot. I'm going to tie mine 4 times, so this will be my last knot. And if you want, you can cut yours short right now, but I feel like I want to tuck mine in. I just cut mine shorter, and now I'm going to take my hook and I'm just going to stick it between the 2 layers of my scarf up to my knot. Then I'm going to take 1 strand of yarn at a time and I'm just going to pull each one through and I'm going to cut them. And now you don't see it, so I'm going to do it to my other strand. And then cut it. Now you are finished with your infinity scarf, and I'm going to put mine on so you can see what it looks like once it is on, but other than that, you are finished. This is what it looks like when it's done and on. And these are super comfortable to wear, and I think they are great for the winter. And also, I think they would make wonderful gifts for your family and friends. And I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you liked it, please give it a big thumbs up. And if you make some, I'd love to see them. My Instagram is CraftLifeUSA, so please tag me in a photo. And don't forget to like us on Facebook, pin it on Pinterest, and subscribe right here on YouTube. I hope you live in a craft life just like me. Thanks so much for watching. Bye!